A teenager struck by a car in front of his high school a month ago has passed away, and tonight, in an exclusive interview, we speak with his family. Also, there's more people in Texas will be on the sex offender registry. We're going to tell you more about Audrii's law. Plus, new video of a house fire in Schertz, how neighbors work to get someone out of those flames.
Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
And tonight we start with the family grieving the loss of their 16-year-old son. This boy that you see here is Jose Flores III. He was hit by a truck outside of his school, John Jay High School, about a month ago. And this weekend he died from his injuries at the hospital. The night team's Audrii Everett spoke exclusively to his parents, who say that they want their son's death to make a difference.
He was so caring, so helpful.
Through their tears, these parents smile, thinking about their son.
He was such a good son.
Jose Flores III died this past weekend after spending nearly a month in the hospital. He was a junior at John Jay High School on the west side.
He was very caring and goofy. He was a good boy. He was just on his lunch period like any other kid going to go eat.
We're told Jose left John Jay on September 16th to grab lunch across the street on Marbach. San Antonio police tell us he was in this designated crosswalk when he was hit by a truck.
I was at work and they called me. I just went to the hospital from there.
He spent 4 weeks in the hospital, but his condition did not improve. That's when Amanda Saucedo and Jose Flores Jr. had to say goodbye.
They said he was brain dead, and there was really nothing else they could do.
SAPD says the driver in this case is not facing any charges, but Jose's parents still want people to be cautious.
Please watch out, be careful, make sure there's no kids around.
As they mourn the loss of their son, they hope his story leaves a message.
Because no family should have to go through this.
Jose's organs will be donated. His mom and dad tell me his dream was to become a firefighter, and this is one way that he can still save lives. Reporting live, I'm Audrii Everett, KSAT 12 News.
And you feel that family's pain. Audrii, thank you. Today, jurors hearing the case of the 3 former San Antonio police officers who killed a San Antonio woman saw part of the fight between Melissa Perez and the 3 ex-officers. The footage is from the officers' body camera. Officers Alfred Flores, Eliezer Alejandro, and Nathaniel Villalobos shot and killed Perez. Prosecutors argue that Perez was not a threat, but the defense says that she was a danger to herself and others. And they played a 911 call from Perez's neighbor the night of the shooting, who said, quote, "She's being violent and has pliers in her hand." The first responding officer that night, Jesus Rojas, took the stand today, and he answered questions about his encounter with Perez. Listen.
Was she physically aggressive to you at any point?
No, sir.
Was there any mental health unit officers or personnel that you could have dispatched that call?
No.
Sorry?
No, sir.
All 3 former officers on trial are facing up to life in prison if they're convicted. Testimony resumes tomorrow afternoon around 12:30. It's something that you can watch live because we're going to be streaming it on KSAT Plus and KSAT.com. He used to teach at the University of the Incarnate Word, and now he's being sentenced to 30 years in prison for child porn possession. That's Troy Mishler. Live Oak police say that Mishler admitted to watching child pornography at an event in Nebraska in January of last year. Investigators say that they found more than 500 depictions of child sex abuse material in his home. A UIW spokesperson confirming to KSAT that Mishler taught animation and game design at the university for 4 years. That is until he was fired in January of 2024. On top of his prison sentence, he also has to pay a $5,000 fine and register as a sex offender. So I'm going to show you this video right here. Flames shooting through the windows of a home in Schertz on Friday. And at the time, a woman was inside of that home. Luckily, neighbors, they got her out. The night team's John Paul Barajas spoke with a man who lives across the street from that house and caught the video on his Ring doorbell camera. And that neighbor believes that this fire started all because of an explosion.
Aggressive flames engulfed this home on Mitchell Avenue in Schertz as firefighters rushed in to put it out. Those who live nearby say they heard and felt an explosion.
They were asking, like, did it really explode? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, there's a baseball hat up on the roof right there. So that was hanging up on his wall or something like that.
I just heard the explosion, and that's when, it kind of rattled me and knocked some of the canned goods off of my shelf in the pantry. That's how bad it was.
All of this while a woman was trapped inside the home. Schertz City officials credit neighbors' quick thinking for getting her out.
There were two fellows there going in the house to get Rose out, Miss Timmerman, and when they got her to the door, I was down at the bottom and I was trying to move because the whole front of the house had blown off.
That woman was rushed to the hospital. We are still waiting on an official update on her condition. And questions still remain on what caused this fire, even though neighbors are blaming a gas leak.
As I'm a journeyman plumber, I know what that smell is. And I knew it was a pretty big issue. But whenever I walked out on my front porch and it was very strong, I knew something was up.
Austin Stack says he called Centerpoint Energy, who responded but told him there was not a leak at his home and left after that. Centerpoint sent us a statement that reads in part, "The cause of the incident remains under investigation and we will continue to support the investigating agencies." End quote.
You never think that it's going to be right across the street from you, and yeah, it was right across the street. It was pretty crazy.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
All right, now we want you to look forward to the morning, and let's talk about what those temperatures are going to be like.
Yeah, it's really more of the same mid-60s, and so that's what you can expect for several days. But I also want to point out that we're not going to see big changes going forward. There's been a lot of talk of maybe a cold front by this upcoming weekend, but notice how tomorrow morning we'll start the day in the low to mid-60s, and then really not much of a change thereafter. Pretty much the same. There is a little bit of hope, or a slight chance that we could see Monday morning's temperature, the sunrise temperature, the morning low, drop a little bit as we get more information and get closer to it. But right now, don't get your hopes up about a noticeable cold front anytime soon. There's actually a front just to the north of us as we speak. 65 Amarillo and Lubbock. Meanwhile, 70s and low 80s out ahead of that front. That's not headed our way. It's actually just starting to lift northward as a warm front. And the next one wouldn't develop until later this week. We'll talk about that one and, of course, where the rain's going to be in just a bit.
Thank you for that, Adam. 18 days until Halloween, just in case you're keeping track of that. This is usually when some parents, to keep their kids safe, check the sex offender registry before they make a trick-or-treating plan. Well, this year, because of Audrii's law, there are more names on that list. The law expands the charges that would require sex offenders to register to include child grooming. And that's basically when a predator builds a trusting relationship with a child or family, which makes it easier for future abuse. That law came about after 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham was kidnapped and killed in February of 2024 by a family friend. Don Stephen McDougal pleaded down charges of indecency with a child so he didn't have to register as a sex offender. And now Audrii's law closes loopholes just like that one.
Grooming goes hand in hand with child sexual abuse because most of the time when a child has been sexually abused, grooming has occurred before that physical act has then taken place.
Audrii's family is not stopping here because they want every single state to pass this law. In the meantime, any family who wants to understand the signs of grooming can go to the Child Safe website and do live webinars or get fact and information sheets. And we have that link for you on KSAT.com. All you have to do when you get to our website is search Audrii's law. Shots fired, and it all began after an accident involving a scooter and a car. It happened near Perrin Beitel and Perrin Central. San Antonio police say that a scooter rider accused a car driver of almost hitting them. Investigators say the rider then called a family member who showed up and allegedly shot the tire of the car. Nobody was hurt, but San Antonio police are looking for video from that area so that they can understand exactly what happened. One man is dead and a woman is injured after a shooting last night. San Antonio police say that it happened near Genoa Avenue and Monson Street. San Antonio police say that that's where 3 people happened to be in a parking lot. They say that one person started shooting, and in the end, both the man and woman got hurt. The woman is expected to be okay. Police haven't yet arrested the shooter. Stay right where you are. Still ahead on the Nightbeat, hope for families. A new center that's focused on helping families get out of tough situations has just opened, and we're going to take you there after the break.
Why can't the Spurs pay for a new arena all by themselves? Why do you need public dollars to do that?
They're big questions before a big vote that's just weeks away. Funding for a new Spurs arena is on the ballot.
A lot of voters are concerned when they look at this large amount of money coming from the city and the county.
It's a project with excitement, debate, and implications for downtown San Antonio and beyond.
If the Spurs don't get a new arena downtown, do they leave San Antonio?
There's nothing about what's going on in San Antonio that is unique.
On Tuesday, KSAT breaks down what's before voters in Propositions A and B, who would pay for a new Spurs arena, and what's happened in other cities when pro teams want new homes. It's Tuesday at 6:30 p.m.
Now, this is the 7th largest city in the country, and yet so many people here are struggling to make ends meet. And luckily, they're going to have one more resource to help them. The Buckner Family Hope Center, that's what it is. It opened today. Buckner International created it. It's a child and family-focused center. It's where families can access counseling, after-school programs, English classes, and also family coaching.
While we can help them with their immediate needs, food and water, we want to go deeper than that. We want to engage families to help them and find out what do they need to get out of the situation that they're in and how can we help that.
The Hope Center is at 1711 Columbia Square near Loop 410 and Marbach Road, which is on the west side. It's a bedrock responsibility of Bexar County government, and that is public safety for its residents. But KSAT Investigates found that 2.5 years after commissioners voted to study whether there are enough patrol deputies, that research still hasn't taken place. And the elected leader who drove that request says he wants to know why.
We all want less crime, and we all want to be safe and secure in our homes and in our communities. And so that's a priority. That's something I've pushed for.
Tomorrow on the Nightbeat, the association that represents Bexar County deputies weighs in and also describes why this is such a critical issue. On a lighter note, this is really good news. This week, you can apply to a public college or university in Texas without having to pay an application fee. Thanks to a new state law, October 13th through the 19th is called Free College Application Week. Students have to apply online through applytexas.org, and they could save anywhere from $50 to $90 on each school application. And when did we apply to college, Adam? More than 20 years ago, and even then it was expensive.
Not even get into it.
No, so I'm just saying that'll be really good for them to save money on that. You can also find that on our website, ksat.com. Okay, live camera out there right now, 79 degrees, and I said 18 days left to go until Halloween. Super exciting. Families are getting ready for that, but oh man, these are still summer temperatures that we're dealing with.
My youngest and her friend were just working on their costumes because they're doing a co-costume together.
Love that.
Just over the weekend and even today because, school off today. So it's good to see the season and the time of year. I just wish the weather would coincide with it.
Cooperate. Come on, get it
All
together.
right. So let's get to our headlines. And it's really going to be more of the same temperature-wise. Pleasant mornings in the low to mid-60s, but the afternoons getting up around 90, give or take a degree or two. And dry. Cold front. Don't get your hopes up. We're still looking for and in search of a noticeable front. Now, this weekend, a weak front should move in, basically a wind shift, and then give us some even lower humidity than where it is. Now, there's a chance that things could change now and then, and maybe it'll bring in some cooler air, but right now I don't have confidence in it. Let's talk about it. There's a cold front out there. I talked about this earlier. Off to the north, that's actually lifting northward, but look at this. 50s and 60s at this hour behind that front, and still a lot of cooling left to go. Source region for the cold air or cooler air this time of year up in Canada, where we have anywhere from 27 in Calgary to 30s and 40s. Some of that cooler air is going to skim right across the Canadian border and move into New England and the mid-Atlantic. Then the next batch is the cold front we'll be watching for moving into Texas by the end of the week and especially into the upcoming weekend. Now, I do think that the core of the cold air is going to stay just to the north of us. And so for us, not really a change in temperatures, more so an abrupt change in humidity, a drier air, and that's about it. Maybe if we're lucky, a 10% chance of a shower. High temperatures going forward right at 90 degrees, give or take a degree or two, even this upcoming weekend as that wind shift line, I'm going to call it, moves in. Saturday still 92 and Sunday at 90. if things were to change between now and then, because keep in mind, we're trying to predict a front that doesn't even exist yet. Okay, so that gives us its own challenges. If things were to change, it would maybe drop the temperature for Sunday and Monday. So something to check back in on. Okay, looking at the overall pattern, there are disturbances out there. There's rain-making energy. You look at the western U.S., nice wound up upper level low that's digging in, giving showers to California, and even the desert Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, West Texas, and the Panhandle recently getting in on rain. Actually, parts of Arizona in the desert, even the airport Phoenix, had over 5 inches of rain the past few days from the remnants of those tropical systems that we were talking about last week. And you look at the rainfall potential going forward, upper high dominates for us. It'll break down by Friday, but still it's going to rebuild, and there's enough to deflect all of this good rain that you see here up and around Texas. It almost seems like everybody except for the Carolinas has rainfall potential except for us right here, unfortunately, going forward. But keep in mind, the areas that did get some heavy rain and flash flooding over the weekend in Arizona, they need it too. You look at the drought monitor, Four Corners states, West Texas, and of course, right here in our backyard in South Central Texas. Going forward, though, unfortunately, we are looking dry. 90, that was our high today. Notice the average, down to 83. Not even a glimmer of hope for being at that average high anywhere within the foreseeable future of the next 7 to 10 days at least. Dew points remaining generally pleasant, with dew points in the 50s for the most part. And then notice that little drop on Sunday. That would be as a result of that wind shift line, that weak cool front. 65 tomorrow morning, 82 at noon, 90 the high temperature, so just like what we had today, and a light east-southeasterly wind. This is the kind of weather that is very pleasant in the morning. And then the afternoon, it's sunny and warm. It's hot when you're in the direct sunlight, but if you can find shade, it feels okay with a little breeze and also the lack of humidity. 92 in Del Rio tomorrow, 92 Pleasanton, 88 meanwhile in Kerrville. And then if you like consistency, well, here you go. This is a weather week and weekend for you, Stephanie.
You want it? You got more of it.
If you don't want it to change, well, you're in luck.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Big W tonight.
Yeah.
Spurs and Pacers.
Yeah, Spurs are looking good. It's preseason. They're undefeated, and some of the guys are getting healthy and back on the court, like Stephon Castle making his preseason debut tonight, and he put up some pretty good numbers. And we've also got the best of BGC from Week 7, which was last week, coming up.